Alright, so today in class we're going to work on connecting breath and body through a series of meditations, breathing exercises, movement, and we'll end with a nice long shavasana. I'll play some singing bowls for you. Is that better? Yeah. Everything that I lead you through is an invitation. Don't get too hung up on how it looks, and instead just focus on how it feels. My intention is for you to leave this practice feeling better physically than you did stepping onto the mat. Emotionally, just let whatever shows up show up. We're just here to practice making observations without judgment. So we'll get started here in a comfortable seated position. Be seated up, tall, there we go, with heart over hips and head over heart. I like sitting in Sukhasana, that's easy sitting pose, just cross-legged. And I just sit my hips up on top of that blanket or block and let my knees and feet roll down in front. So there's a bit of an anterior tilt to my hips. So my hips are tilted slightly forward, making it easier to sit up straight. Hands come to rest on the lap, either palms down to ground down or palms up to give and receive energy if you feel you've got a little extra to give today. We'll allow the eyes to close, if that's comfortable. If not, just lower them to a soft gaze just beyond your legs, not looking at anything in particular. We'll start with 3 cleansing breaths. In through the nose, shoulders rise up towards the ears, and out through the mouth, an audible sigh as the shoulders drop away heavy. And allow the breath to continue in and out through the nose, just returning to a natural breath's pace. We'll take a moment here to arrive. Let go of everything that came before and everything that's to come up after. And become present to yourself here in this space, here in this moment. And begin to allow sounds into your awareness. Allowing all sounds in, all part of this moment, this experience. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. And feel the weight where your body makes contact with the ground below you. The weight of your hands on your knees. And we'll begin to scan the body from head down towards toes, getting a general sense of how the body feels. Checking in for any places of tightness or sensitivity, any restlessness or fidgeting. Just taking note to work into these spaces that call out for your attention throughout your movement practice here today. And we'll shift that awareness to the energetic level. So going from Annamaya Kosha, the body, to Pranamaya Kosha, our energy. Noticing on a scale of 1 to 10 where you're at in this moment. 1 being exhausted, fatigued, ready to crawl into bed. 10 being so full of energy it's hard to sit still. Noticing your breath. No need to change it, just observe. Inhalations, exhalations, and whatever space in between. In yoga, the breath is intrinsically intertwined with our energy, or prana, our life force. Just like in Kung Fu or Tai Chi, Qigong, Qi is attached to, or rather breath is attached to the energy. And we'll shift that awareness up to the mind, Manomaya Kosha. And here just allow your thoughts and feelings to arise freely. But no need to engage. Observe them from a distance. Like observing the blue sky above you and clouds just happen to be floating by. And just notice the quality of the thoughts today. Is the sky so cloudy that it's hard to see any sky behind those clouds? Or are they quick, wispy clouds that just pass by? And do you find it challenging not to interact with the thoughts and just let them float along? Not right or wrong, not good or bad, just something to notice. We'll bring that attention back down to the breath. So I'm actively expanding the breath. Every inhale sips in a little more air. And every exhale lets something more go. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose and into the belly. Inhaling, the belly inflates like a balloon, it expands. Exhaling, belly button draws in towards spine, deflating, squeezing all the air out from the lungs. So our pranayama this month is Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. The first step is getting our hand mudra. So with your right hand, just take your index and middle finger and pull them down. So we're going to be using the thumb and ring finger. Turn your hand. And we're going to cover the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left nostril. Cover the left nostril, releasing right, and exhale right nostril. Inhale right, Switch, exhale left. Inhale left. Switch, exhale right. Inhale right. Switch, exhale left. Inhale left. Switch, exhale right. Inhale right. Switch, exhale left. Inhale left. Continuing like this. So we switch at the top of the inhale. So after the inhale, we switch before the exhale. Same side, we breathe in. Switch after the inhale. Allow your breath to be slow. Don't overthink it. Your breathing is going to take longer as there's a smaller area for the air to pass through just one nostril, so just let it slow down. Shoulders are relaxed. Jaw is relaxed. Focus on lengthening and deepening your breath. And next time you exhale through the left nostril, no rush to get there. Release the hand from the face. Release any effort from the breath, returning to a natural breath's pace. And we'll just meet here in observance, in observation. How does it feel now to have access to both nostrils? Returning to a natural breath's pace without the pressure of coordination through the hands. So Nadi Shodhana has a balancing effect on the body and the nervous system as we become more familiar with it. So in the beginning it can just feel a bit stressful, just trying to get the coordination right, but just have confidence that as we continue practicing throughout the month, we'll build up those skills and you'll be able to feel the benefits. Good morning, Miss Mango and Greg and Sancho. Hello, friends. We just finished our breathing practice, our pranayama. So you're just in time to set an intention. Even if you can't stay to practice the physical practice, you're invited to set an intention along with us. Hands come to meet in Anjali Mudra. No space between the fingers, and the thumbs press into the sternum. Consider here setting an intention, so it's your reason for showing up to class today. It can also be your intention for the day. And then the invitation is just to set it in the positive and affirmative tense. So it might sound something like, I am patient, or I flow through life with ease and grace. And we'll set that intention with the sound of Om. First, a cleansing breath. Of course, you're invited to chant along with me. Allow your hands to release to your lap, chin drops towards chest, and on an inhale, right ear rolls over towards right shoulder. Exhaling, chin to chest, and left ear rolls towards left shoulder. Just allow the head to roll side to side, creating some space and movement in the body. It's okay for the eyes to even still be closed at this point. And the next time the head rolls through center, bring it up to neutral and begin to roll the shoulders forward. Beginning to open up the space in the upper back and between the shoulder blades. Once again, your eyes can even still be closed for this part, really checking in with your own body. We'll change directions, rolling the shoulders back, opening up the chest and the space around the collarbones. So there's this image we have of our bodies from the outside in, when we're looking down at it or seeing ourselves in a mirror or a photograph. When we get to practice in yoga, it is seeing our body from the inside out. So you can see how you actually feel with your eyes closed, and eventually with your eyes open as well, without having to actually look with your eyes. Instead, you're looking internally. Stillness in the shoulders. Let's inhale, arms sweep up overhead, reaching tall. And exhale, right hand releases down, left arm reaches over. So the left hip is glued to the ground, right arm is reaching over through the fingertips, really opening up the space on these side ribs, the intercostal muscles. And a deep breath in here, we extra press, extra bend into that rib cage. Exhale up through center. Inhale to the right. So you're using that inflation, that expansion to expand and open the ribs. Exhale, center. Inhale, right. Exhale, center. Inhale, right. Meet back in center. Deep breath in here. And exhale, twist to the right. Left hand lands on right knee, right hand lands behind you. We're just opening the chest towards the side wall. Inhale it back up through center. And exhale, twist left. So imagine your spine like a spiral staircase. Inhaling through center. And wringing out, twisting for the exhale. Just waking our body up to this motion. It doesn't have to be your deepest twist of your life. Daydream, yeah. Special guest today. Once more to each side. Back up through center. And then the elbows bend, hands come to ear height. I'm just going to wave out the hands. So we're just warming up the hands, the wrists, ligaments, tendons, muscles before we put any weight on them. Then palms flip down, fingers wiggle side to side. This is like some anti-carpal tunnel sequencing here. You can also do this part just in between the workday. to break up all those small repetitive tasks that we do with the fingers, with the hands. Palms flip up towards the sky. It's like you're trying to get your fingernails to touch your forearm, really reaching back here. Fingers spread wide and rotating. So don't move your elbows or your shoulders, just the hands. And there's some effort here. You may even begin to feel your forearms fatigue, and that's how you know you're putting in the right amount of effort. Then just like you're shaking off water, gently shake off the hands. For 3, 2, 1. All right, let's warm up the neck. All right, fingers come to the edge of the jawline, so just below your ear, find where your jaw ends. And then fingers come out just about an inch. We're going to slide the head side to side. So mindful here. We don't want the shoulders to be up and down, up and down. They're just completely relaxed, not involved at all. And then the second thing that often happens is we'll look left and right, but we just want to let that go. So we're not doing that. We're just sliding the head on one plane of movement. And breathing. Sometimes when we try to do something new, we hold our breath, but actually that works against us. And if you're finding it hard to reach, just bring your fingers in closer, maybe a centimeter away. So we're opening up this new pattern of movement in the cervical spine for many of us. For 3, 2, 1. All right, drop the hands, drop ear to shoulder, ear to shoulder. We've got one more neck resiliency bit, or rather mobility thing to begin. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what it looks like. Turn to the side too. So these are our neck waves. So shoulders down, there's no movement. We're leading with the nose. Chin drops towards chest, and then the nose is reaching down, down, down towards the ground. Then forward towards the wall in front, up towards the sky above, back towards the wall behind, and then chin tucks back in towards chest. So we're drawing a circle with the nose. Chest, the head, and neck are involved in this. Once again, we're breathing fully. Working for slow, smooth movements. You can visualize every vertebra in your neck moving freely and independently. And we'll change directions. Now we're leading with the chin. We're just up towards the sky, forward towards the wall in front, scoops down towards the floor, and back in. So this pattern of movement was taught to me about a year ago by a friend when I was having some gnarly migraines from neck pain. And of all the stuff he taught me, this definitely helped the most. So we're building up some of these little stabilizing muscles in the neck, but we're also building up the physical literacy, the body literacy, to even have this movement in the body. Last one. No rush to get there. We bring it back to center. You can just look over left and right shoulder, just kind of shaking it out. All right. Let's extend the legs out in front. Wake up the lower legs and the feet. Spread and scrunch the toes. Roll out the ankles. change directions. We'll bend in the knees, feet come nice and wide, like mat's distance apart. We'll just drop the knees left and right, making sure there's enough space for the knees to touch down to the ground instead of on top of one another. So you just wake up the hips. And the next time the knees fall over to the right, we'll hold them there, hands come to frame the right knee. We'll come up to hands and knees for tabletop. Alright, so here we are in tabletop with hands below shoulders, knees below hips. And inhale, belly drops, hips and chest rise for cow pose. And exhaling through cat pose, rounding in the spine, chin tucks in towards chest. Following the breath, in to rise, hands pressed down and back, knees pressed down and forward like you're trying to scrunch your mat together. Get a deeper arch in the spine. And exhaling through the nose, hands pressed down and forward, knees pressed down and back like you're trying to spread your mat apart to get a deeper rounding in cat pose. You need to calibrate with your own breath space. Let the speed of your body be informed by the length of your breath. Don't get too hung up on matching my speed. Instead, check in with your own, slowing your own breath down so you can fully express and fully enjoy each movement. And we'll return back to neutral after your next cat pose, after your next exhale. We'll turn the hands, get a nice wrist stretch in here. So we'll flip the palms under. So I'm just flipping the hand down so that the fingertips are towards the knees. And then if you have the space, if it feels okay for you, we'll flip over the left hand as well. You can always go one at a time. That works too. And then from here, the next step is to straighten out the arms. So you might be here with the elbows bent, and we're working towards straightening the arms with the eye of the elbow facing forward. So this is the outside of the elbow, so look at the inside. Once it's straight, and then it turns to face forward. Almost like you're opening a jar, but your hand can't move because it's pinned down. So you might be with the elbows bent, and here we're working towards straightening, and both elbows at the same time. You can be doing this one arm at a time as well. If you can get there with the arms straightened out, then the next step is to just gently rock back and forward. I don't even want to say rock back because that would imply momentum, and we don't want momentum here. We just want like a very slow sending back until you're at the edge of that stretch. So you don't want to be in sharp pain, but you do want to be in an intense stretch. And then the next time, so you can switch sides now. If you're just doing one hand, go to the other. And if you're rocking back and forth, you can hold it back, stretch. Still breathing fully here. So there's no rush with wrist work. We're just working to build up the strength and the resiliency of the joints to avoid, well, on one hand it's to avoid injury, and then on the other hand it's so that we can continue using them just freely and nicely throughout our lives. Let's bring the shoulders back up over the wrists, untuck the hands one at a time, tuck the toes under, and sit back on the heels. So now I'm getting a nice little foot stretch here. The further you lean back, the more the stretch on the bottoms of the feet. So here we go, just a little wrist massage, getting some blood back into the wrists. Almost like you're vigorously washing your hands. And then just gently shake off water. 1, 2, 3. All right. There we go. Back to our tabletop pose. Untuck the toes. Right leg gets sent. Yes. I'm going to just turn this way so I can face you guys. Right leg gets sent back behind you, up hip height. Roll out the ankle. Then we're going to stack the right hip over the left. So I'm just opening the hip up and then dropping it down. Oops, right at the edge of my mat. There we go. Toes are facing the long side of the mat. And right arm opens up to the sky. So I'm in a modified side plank. Pressing into the pinky side edge of this top foot. And then reaching up overhead with this top hand. Option here to extend the bottom leg long to come into a full side plank. But here is just fine as well because we are working on the shoulders. Drawing big circles here like the arm of a clock. Really reaching over with those fingertips. We'll change directions. And if that knee was up, release it back down. Release the hand back down. And bring the right foot all the way through to step between the hands. Left toes tuck under, scooch that leg back. Release the knee onto the mat. Release the top of the foot onto the mat. And inhale, arms sweep up overhead for our Anjali Asana low lunge. So that shoelace part of the foot's pressing into the ground super hard. Not so hard that you're lifting the knee necessarily, but hard enough that you have some stability here. Right knee's over right ankle. Deep breath in here. And exhale, high twist to the right. Right hand releases back behind you, left arm reaches forward. Inhale, back up through center. Exhale, same side, twist right. Once more, up through center. Twist to the right. Inhale, center. And exhale, hands release down to the mat. Right knee steps back next to the left. It's for our tabletop pose. All right. Left leg sweeps up and back behind you, hip height. Move the ankle once or twice. And then we're going to stack the left hip over the right. So I'm opening up my hips towards the long side of the mat. Release that foot down. And open up the left arm towards the sky. So we're in this modified side plank. Option here to extend the bottom leg for a bit more challenge. And we're drawing big circles like the arm of a clock with the left arm. So I really want to open up the shoulders, the side body here. Really exaggerated movement. All the while breathing. I'm going to change directions. All right, so my arm's not going behind me, it's going in front. Just in one plane of existence, just like you're between two panes of glass. And we'll release that knee down if it was up. Release the hand down. And step the left foot all the way forward. Oh, yes. Between the hands. Right toes tuck under and then shift it back, back, back. Until it's extended back behind you. Release the knee down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Press the shoelace part of the foot strong into the ground for stability. Left ankle left knee is above left ankle, and inhale, arms sweep up overhead for Anjali Asana, low lunge. So you feel a stretch on that front right hip. Deep breath in here. And exhale, high twist to the left. Left hand reaches back, right hand reaches forward like the letter T. Inhale, back up through center. Same side, twist left. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. And exhale, hands release down to the mat. Left foot steps back to meet the right. Toes tuck under for downward facing dog. So fingers spread wide, hips reach up and back behind you. We'll pedal out the feet a bit here, waking up the calves. You can let the hips kind of go with it a bit. Just kind of enter into this space, into this shape. And then we send the hips back and up, like they're going to touch where the back wall meets the ceiling. Let my head hang heavy, falling between my shoulders. The heels are pressing down towards the ground. I'm going to heel toe the feet in towards one, or step the feet in towards one another until the big toes are touching. Then send the right leg up and back behind you, just straight back. Then releasing the foot, the big toe and the little toe are going to go on either side of this left ankle and press down and back. So I'm using this right foot to press the left foot down. It's okay if the heel doesn't reach the ground. That's just where you're pressing towards. It's where the energy is headed. So I'm reaching up and back, up and back. All the energy of this pose is up and back. And release that leg. Big toes touch. Extend the left leg behind you, reaching. And then big toe and first little toe hook behind the right ankle, that right heel. Pressing the heel down towards the ground. I feel a nice deep stretch on that right calf and hamstring. Send this leg back up, touches down, take the feet out about a foot apart, between 6 inches and a foot. And just notice if your downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, feels any different than it did before. Full breath here. Then we'll tiptoe the hands, or rather, walk the hands back, 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 towards the feet until you're in a forward fold. Heel toe the feet out to the edges of the mat. When the toes are just off the edges, heels are still on. We'll bend deep in the knees, sinking the hips for our deep squat, Malasana. So pressing from one position to the other. So from this deep squat to extended legs for forward fold. So from forward fold to deep squat, back and forth at your own speed and pace. Just waking up the body to the possibilities of these shapes. So today we'll actually stay in this deep squat for a moment. Turn to face you so you can see what is going on. I'm working towards getting my heels onto the mat. Say your heels don't touch the ground. Remember the blanket asked us all to grab before. This is where that can come into play. You can put your heels up on the blanket until they touch the ground. So I'm working towards getting the chest up over the hips. Instead of leaning all the way forward, I'm leaning back almost like I'm trying to get my shoulders. If I was up against the wall, my shoulders would want to hit the wall at the same time that my hips do. Then I'm going to drop my right elbow, or rather my right shoulder into the inside of this right knee. Release the hand to the ground. And left hand on the left knee. I'm just going to use that hand to open and close the left knee. So I'm rolling onto the pinky side edge of this foot and back. And then maybe you can get this arm to extend straight, but even if you can't, that's okay. Just as far as it'll go is just fine. Awesome. Then we'll hold it there. This arm extends straight. The left arm reaches up and back behind you, so you're getting a nice, so I'm using the pressure of the shoulder up against the knee to leverage the chest open. Full breath here. Returning this hand back down, dropping the left shoulder to the inside of the left knee. Right hand lands on right knee, and I'm using that press into the knee to open and close the knee. I'm rolling onto the pinky side edge of this foot. But if you don't have the mobility to get there yet, no worries. There's really no rush. Still, we're breathing the entirety of this posture. Or rather, this movement. Alright, next time open, it stays there through its own volition. Extend this bottom arm straight, pressing into the ground for stability, pressing into the knee to leverage, right shoulder open. The chest a bit open, reaching through the fingertips. Full breath here. Nice, and releasing the hands forward. So now both my hands are reaching forward, forward, forward. And I'm going to open the arms out. So before we were leaning back, now I'm rounding forward in between my legs. Arms open up to the sides. Once they can't reach anymore because they're hitting my legs, I use that to turn the hands in and reach for one another. So my hands don't touch one another. That's just the direction, but you'll feel a real deep stretch in between your shoulder blades here. So I'm reaching for each one. I'm letting my shoulders press into my knees. Try to open up the space in the upper back. Full breath here. And releasing the arms back down. Extend the legs straight for that forward fold, Uttanasana. Give the head a little nod, yes. Give it a shake, no. You can grab opposite elbows for ragdoll, creating a frame for the head, giving yourself a rock side to side. Or forward and back, so a little free movement here. Just letting the weight of the head and shoulders open up the back side body. Roll back to center. Releasing the hands, a little bend in the knees as we roll all the way up to stand. Arms sweep up when you get there. And exhale, hands to heart center. Alright, let's turn to face one another. Their big toes touching. And we're just going to step the feet apart. So let's actually step the feet nice and wide. So we want to be about legs distance in width. So how do you know you're at legs distance? You have the mobility for a side squat. Okay. This heel to hip, that's one leg's distance. Here we are. Okay. Feet are parallel to one another. And, no, that's not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Sorry. So actually, well, feet can start parallel to one another. We're actually going to bring the heels in and the toes out. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. And exhale to goddess pose. So bend in the knees, bend in the elbows. Try to make 90 degrees with the elbows and the knees. Almost like I'm a cube or a square. And then release the hands to the insides of the thighs. So the thumbs are facing down and forward, fingers are reaching back. And you can actually press into the insides of the thighs. So I'm pressing down and back with my hands to help redistribute some of the effort. So before, here, all of the effort is in the legs. Here, you get to redistribute some of that energy, some of that effort. We'll let the right hand really, right shoulder dip down, left shoulder dip up, or reach up for a twist in the spine. And a deep opening of this right hip, which we were working on opening earlier. Bring it up through center. And drop the left shoulder down. Right shoulder's up. Bring that left shoulder back. Extend the legs, extend the arms. Now the heels come out, toes are facing forward parallel to one another. Deep breath in here. And exhale, we hinge forward. Coming down with a flat back. Eventually releasing the head and the arms down, whether they touch the ground or not. So if your head touches the ground, just bring your feet in closer. And if your arms don't reach the ground, bring your legs further apart. So you got options here. Prasarita Padottanasana, standing wide angle fold. Turn to the side so I can talk to you guys. Alright, so I'm sending the weight all the way forward without lifting my heels. So often what will happen is we want to lean back, or we think we want to lean back, but that puts some unnecessary strain on our hamstrings, so let's lean forward, forward, forward without lifting the heels. It can be a little scary at first to lean forward, but it's actually helping you get deeper into the posture. The hands can reach forward almost like downward facing dogs to give the shoulders a stretch. Another option is to bring the hands to the lower back, fingers interlace, and then let the arms fall forward. That's going to give an opposite stretch to the shoulders. One more deep breath in here, really pressing into the pinky side edges of the feet. And release the hands down to the mat. Right arm sweeps open. So the left hand's right below the face, right arm sweeps open. Let the hips go with it so you feel that stretch on the inside of the left hip, left thigh. And releases down, and we'll switch sides. Left arm opens up, let the hips go with it, opening up the inside of the right leg. We've got once more to each side. Sweeping right arm open. Two deep breaths here. And left, two deep breaths here. Back to center, level out the hips, and the feet pressing towards one another like you're going to scrunch your mat together. Halfway lift type feeling in the back, arms open up like the letter T, and just using that strength to bring you up to center. Hands and feet stuck together. And release the arms down. Let's actually step it out once more. Apologies. The right toes turn to face the short end of the mat. We'll bend in this knee for warrior two, like warrior two legs. And then we're coming into Ardha Chandrasana. So we're coming into a balancing half moon. Arms open like the letter T. It's like a half cartwheel or a quarter of a cartwheel. As the right hand releases down towards maybe 6 inches beyond this right foot, the left leg reaches up. We're just reaching the leg towards parallel to the ground. The heel's pressing away like it's pressing against the back wall for stability. I'm keeping this left hip stacked over the right hip. So hips are open. Left hip directly stacked over right hip, just like we practiced before in that earlier posture. So I'm really pressing through this heel, pressing through both heels to stack left shoulder over right shoulder as well. The bottom hand can also be on top of a block or a stack of books. From here, you can even start working on strengthening the side body by floating the top body up and just resetting as necessary. And preferably not looking around like I'm doing, and just looking at one point. Your drishti, your focal point. Breathing fully here, even in the tension, even in the challenge of this posture. You're going to bend in that front knee and land back in warrior two. Extend both legs straight. Left toes turn to face the short end of the mat. Bend in that knee for warrior two. And it's like a half cartwheel. Left hand releases down, maybe 6 inches beyond that foot. Maybe a little bit less if you're short like me. And the right leg floats up. The leg comes parallel to the ground. I'm pressing the heel back. Hips are stacked on top of one another. So right hip is stacked over left hip. So the weight of this leg is being supported by this leg instead of throwing you off balance. Right arm is straight towards the sky. And that bottom hand is on top of a block, stack of books, or maybe we're working on floating. Working to get the spine in alignment with that extended right leg. All the while breathing and resetting as necessary. Bend in the left knee, back through warrior two. Extend the legs straight, toes face forward, hands step together, and arms release down. Let's just take a deep breath in and let it go. Hi Sean and Nisa on Facebook. Hello my friends. You're just in time for our lymphatic shaking. So we're gonna shake off whatever just happened or didn't happen. We're just gonna shake it off by coming into this bounce, lifting the heels and dropping them down with soft knees to create this shape in the body. So lymphatic shaking is all about draining the lymphatic system, relieving tension, and interrupting pain messages in the nervous system. So a full jump is totally invited. Days that I have the energy to, I definitely full jump. But even just lifting and dropping the heels is going to be enough of the movement to get the benefit. I let my shoulders rise and drop to add to that reverberation. So our lymphatic system, it drains and moves out toxins and waste from the body. But since it doesn't have a heart or lungs to pump the substances through, it relies on movement for proper function. And this bouncing type function, also like when you're jumping on a trampoline, things like that, is an ideal movement to stimulate the lymphatic system. And I think that's great. Thank you for demonstrating, Lucy. So when it comes to yoga and shaking, yoga philosophy and shaking, so that's like Western science view of it and why you should do it. On the yoga side, there are points in our body that get stuck with energy, like stale energy or negative energy, however you want to look at it. They're called samskara. They're like small traumas in our lives that get manifested in our bodies. And the only way to get rid of them is to move through them, basically, just like the lymphatic system drains out those wastes. Yoga helps move through or drain out those little micro traumas. So we're working towards 3 minutes of this, by the way, if you're wondering how long we're going to be doing this for. We've got another minute or so, which is the recommended amount of time to be lymphatic shaking a day. So the nice thing about this is that you don't even need to know that, oh, this, some scara in my chest or in my left shoulder or right knee or whatever is from some childhood, fill in the blank. Like, it's not about that at all. It's not Western therapy. It's like stuff that you don't even remember happened. Like, you go to step off the curb and a bus almost hits you but doesn't. Like, that fear is stored in your body. And movements like this and poses in yoga help release that energy so you can just let it go. You don't need to write an essay about it or hire someone to talk about it or anything like that. You just literally need to move that energy out. Just like when a gazelle or a zebra almost gets eaten by a lion. They fall over, they don't get eaten, they literally shake their bodies off and then return to their lives unscathed. 3, 2, 1. Alright, take them over here just to notice the warmth, that tingling sensation. It's a nice way to build up some heat and raise up our heart rates in class, because otherwise we are quite relaxed. So here we have our breath of joy. So this next practice, totally separate, it's called breath of joy. It's a 4-part breath, and it's 3 deep inhales through the nose and 1 big ha exhale through the mouth. So we're just gonna yell out ha. And it looks like an inhale, arms sweep forward, inhale, arms sweep out, inhale, arms sweep forward, and a big ha, arms throw back. There's no exhale in between the inhales, it's just and then ha. Yeah? So just make sure there's space around you. You don't want to hit any furniture or walls or anything. Plants. Feet come like shoulders distance apart, just so you've got a nice stable base. We'll bend in the knees. We've got about 10 rounds of this. So in, ha, in, ha, in, ha, in, ha. Ha! 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 3 left. If you haven't joined in yet, now's your chance. Ha! Ha! Last one, make it count. Ha! Ha! 1 hand on the belly, 1 hand on the heart. Eyes can close. Just take a moment here to arrive and observe what was created. Taking your body like a snow globe and giving it a righteous shake. And now we stop to observe what was created. Where does that glitter dust settle? And what was revealed? Not right or wrong, not good or bad, just something to notice. We'll gently blink the eyes open, grabbing a sip of water, toweling off any sweat that may have built up. And we're going to come down to meet on the ground. If you're there, we'll meet you there. If not, you can come down with me. So we'll meet at the back of the mat. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, hands on shins. Exhale, knees bend deep, 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 so deep. Then we come down to seated. Walk your hands back. Feet come to touch, knees splay open, just a couple like butterfly flaps out. You can give your feet a little bit of a massage here. Just giving your hips a moment to kind of arrive where we're at. We've been doing lots of inner thigh, like opening stretches. So this Baddha Konasana bound angle pose might feel a little different than it has earlier in the week's practices. We'll grab onto the ankles, shins, maybe the feet, to get a good grip, to get a nice tall spine. So I'm pulling in for leverage, get a tall spine here. And exhale, wave down, belly, chest, head. I might keep this grip on the ankles and use that as leverage to press the elbows into the knees, pressing the knees open, pressing the knees towards the ground, regardless of if they touch. My knees don't touch the ground, I'm not hung up on that. Instead, I'm just focusing on how deep to go to find that edge between deep stretch and pain. I don't want to go into pain and injury. I want to stay in deep stretch. Since we've been working on opening the hips this whole time, I am allowing myself to put a little bit more effort maybe than usual. I'm just breathing here. No gritting of the teeth, no clenching of the jaw. Every exhale is an opportunity to soften into the posture. Bring it back up to seated. Knees can come together. I'm just gonna open up the legs for like a center split. This is as far open as they will go. And I like having my heels on the mat because my feet are like everything on me is like pretty bony, so definitely the extra cushioning underneath my heels feels better. So I just turn to face this direction on the mat. Hands come behind me, and I shift my hips forward just a bit, trying to get that anterior tilt on the hips once more. So if my hips are a teacup, it's like I'm trying to spill tea out the front instead of rounding in the back and the tea is spilling out the back. I'm trying to spill forward. Flexing through the heels. Is this better? No, this. Yeah. I'm flexing through the heels. My heels are pressing away. That helps straighten out my legs. So I'm never pressing down on my knees to straighten out my legs. Instead, I'm flexing through the heels, and that'll make my calves press down into the ground even stronger. These quadricep muscles are all engaged, so they're strong, strong, strong. The knees are kind of locked in place. So the hands are back here right now. I'm pressing forward a bit. This might be where you're at. If you still got space to play, you can walk the hands in front. Back a bit so you can see. Then from here, you might walk the hands a little bit further and further as we're folding forward in this pose. So, option to be here or here. You might find as you exhale, as you relax into the posture, you have the space to come down and forward. So just breathing fully here. So this is like the same as our standing wide angle fold. We're just like in a different dimension space. like Inception, like the world just got X and Y axis just got shifted over, right? It's gonna feel really different on your legs. Still, we're keeping our feet flexed. And every exhale is just an opportunity to let something go. Some tension, some holding. If you're feeling the entire pose in your knee, then just back off a little bit. Sometimes the rest of our body can keep going, but we really want to listen to our joints. So we want to listen to the knee in this particular instance. And that's when you know just to back off. And it's okay, like the rest of your body can just have an ego check and pull back a little bit for the sake of your knee, right? Just breathing fully here. Just got one more deep breath here. We'll press the hands into the ground to come back up to seated. Hands come underneath the knees even if you don't need it. Just use your hands to bend in the knees and bring the knees back in towards center. It feels so good. It feels like even when you don't need it, to just use your hands to help your legs come in. It's so nice. It's the little things, guys. So we're gonna keep the knees hugged in towards the chest, give ourselves a gentle roll back. And I'll rock side to side. Let's keep the right knee hugged in and extend the left leg out for a wind relieving pose. So just gonna interlace the fingers below the right knee, completely avoiding the belly, knee pulls in towards that right armpit, left heel is flexed away. Now just squeezing the knee in using bicep strength. I'm not using the shoulders or anything like that, that's all relaxed. And then the the right hand releases out like the letter T. Left hand guides this knee over the body to the left, stacking right hip over left hip for a supine spinal twist. Supta Matsundrasana. Working towards getting this right shoulder to touch the ground. It's okay if this right knee is not touching the ground. Some days my left knee touches the ground, some days it doesn't. It's all good, I just notice it. It's not about being better or worse. It's all about just letting breath and gravity do the work for you. So it's counterintuitive, it goes against everything that our society has taught us, but this practice is not about progress necessarily in the traditional sense of the term. If your shoulder gets down this far today, or your knee gets this close to the ground today, then traditional progress sense tomorrow it should be further. But yoga says we just notice it. We're here for the practice of observation and connecting with ourselves, not with getting into more and more extravagant or complicated shapes with the body. Head comes back through center, knee comes back up through center. Extend that right leg long, and then bring the left knee in towards the left shoulder, in towards the left armpit. So squeezing that knee in, flexing the right heel away. So this can be kind of, I think, disappointing to some people, or it can just seem wrong. So if you're experiencing resistance to that thought that this practice is not about progress, it's just about the practice, it's just about observation, I just want to say that's okay. That's really natural and normal to feel that resistance. And really, your practice is going to be about whatever you want it to be about. Like, you're setting your intention. And if it's about getting into a handstand, then like so be it. Like I can get you there, you know. But I'm just inviting you to the thought that it's about more than that. Thank you for sharing your practice. I'm off to work. Hi, you too, Miss Mango. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. All right, last squeeze in here is left knee. And then releasing the left arm open, palm face up towards the sky. Right hand guides the left knee over the body, stacking left hip over right hip for a supine twist. Working this left shoulder towards the ground, and maybe even looking over the left fingertips to complete that spinal twist. So it's just an invitation to try on what this class would look like, would feel like to you if it wasn't about progress. This progress is very much seated in the past. You have to know where you are coming from to know if you've progressed. And in the future, you have an idea of where you're heading or a goal. And in yoga, it's one of not many moments in life we get to just practice being here and now and letting all the rest go. Head comes back up through center, knee comes up through center. So extend both legs out, full body stretch. And then both knees come in, reaching around the knees, hugging the knees in. Apanasana. Just notice, is there any last stretch or wiggle or movement that your body's asking for here? As we're preparing for Shavasana, final relaxation pose. Just allow yourself to move through that intuitively. So when we ask our body what it would like, often it will answer, but not in words. So we're just building up this communication, this line of communication, this language that we have with ourselves and our bodies. Because in a way, we are our bodies. And in a way, we're more than that. It's more like our body is part of the whole. At least yoga would say that. Anamaya kosha, your body, your physical sheath, is maya, illusion, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Because, well, there's a whole rabbit hole of whether this world is all illusion anyway. But as long as we're playing the game of this life, your body is pretty important. So let's work to communicate with it, to collaborate with it, to treat it well. All right, any last stretches before I go down an entire rabbit hole alternate universe? And then we'll come down to Shavasana, final relaxation pose. With the legs extended down the length of the mat, feet come at least a foot apart, legs so relaxed that the feet naturally splay open to the sides. Shoulders tuck under, supporting the chest, and the arms release down by the sides, palms face open, a symbol, a mudra of receptivity. Allow yourself to receive the full benefits of your effort here today. If laying flat on your back like this brings pain to your lower back, just bend deep in the knees, feet come super wide to the edges of the mat, and knock the knees together. Lift and tuck the hips under before placing them back down. Nice long lumbar spine for broken bridge pose, and that'll alleviate that lower back pain. Of course, if you're someone who practices in a chair, then you can just come back to your seated meditation pose for this next meditation. So Shavasana, broken bridge, or seated is just fine. And the next invitation is to close the eyes if that's comfortable for you. If not, a soft gaze towards the sky or just beyond your nose is appropriate. You come up to seated so that I can actually play some singing bowls for you. Shavasana is all about integration. So just like at the end of the night, we take our experiences and during REM sleep, integrate them into long-term memory. So in Shavasana, we take our experiences in class and turn them into muscle memory, into actual lessons learned. And it's also important to rest after putting in so much effort. So here we get to kind of practice that. Doesn't always come naturally to many of us. So we'll start with 3 cleansing breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Everything else is just relaxed here. And allow the breath to continue in and out through the nose, inviting your exhalations to become longer and deeper than your inhalations. Invite space between top and bottom teeth, and the tongue falls away from the roof of the mouth as the jaw hangs heavy. Nose and nostrils relax, gently allowing air to pass through, like waves lapping up to shore. Eyes rest heavy in their sockets, eyelids just barely touching. The space between the eyebrows broadens as all the muscles in the forehead relax. Neck and throat relax. Shoulders melt away. Upper arms and elbows release. Forearms and wrists relax. Palms, backs of the hands, knuckles, fingers, fingertips, whole hands alive with vibration. Whole hands alive with creative potential. Rest and integrate all that you practice. Upper back, middle and lower back, rest. Chest and belly naturally rise and fall with the breath. Pelvis, glutes and hips rest heavy, supported supported by the ground below. Thighs and knees melt away. Shins, calves, and ankles relax. Heels, arches, toe ball mounds, tops of the feet, and all of the toes relax. Whole body rests. Whole body rests. Whole body rests. Notice if in your mind, if only for one moment, that inner dialogue quieted. Notice if in your breath there's ease. Notice if in your body the places of tension have found space, and the places of restlessness have found peace. Allow for everything that did and did not happen in class today. And know that in yoga, practice makes practice. Gently invite your inhalations to deepen. Every inhale replaces that feeling of heaviness with a feeling of expansion, bringing yourself towards the surface. Fingers begin to wiggle, and toes begin to curl. And the head gently rocks side to side. Arms reach up overhead for a full body stretch. And let the knees bend and roll over to whichever side feels natural, landing in a fetal position. Fully released and fully supported by the ground below you. You can use that bottom arm as a pillow. Bring to mind any intention or dedication you set for class today. And if that intention inspires you, take it with you off the mat and into the world. Allow it to affect you and the people around you for the rest of your day. With eyes still closed or gently lowered, press your hands into the ground to come up to a seated position just like we started class. Hands come to meet at heart center, palms pressed together in Anjali Mudra. Today we worked on opening the inner hips and legs. The first namaste is said silently to yourself, thanking your body for the effort it put into class. And the second namaste is said out loud to the community that held this space. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who joined me. Thank you, Feelings Inc., for the raid, my friend. Namaste, Ethereal. Santo Bermuda, Kai Pucha, Miss Mango, if you're still floating around. Greg, of course, Gregulate. For all of you who joined, I hope that you found something that serves you, that adds to your day in a positive way. I didn't mean that to rhyme. I need a new line. How are you all feeling? That was pretty intense on like the inner legs. I wasn't super feeling like standing too much today, and I felt like it had been a while since we did some of those poses. Glad you're doing well, Ethereal. Alright, it's Wednesday, we're halfway through the work week. Let's see. Let me go say hi to Mom. Say hello to Gatina. So as always, guys, I'm always available if you guys have questions about yoga and movement or meditation, singing bowls, really anything in that vein. You can always reach out to me through direct message, text message if you know me IRL, Instagram message. You're welcome. Order the books. Yay! I'm so excited. Feelings like that's great. So the books that I recommended to Feelings, he was asking me, or they were asking me, where to start, because it can be really overwhelming if you're just getting started in the whole yoga world about there's just thousands of books and practices and all of that. So I just meant, the place to start, I think, is a good place. The place to start is where it started, I think. So the two older texts to reference are the Bhagavad Gita and Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and that's just like base level. Like I think yogi should read it. I know there's no shoulds, but if you're gonna read about yoga, like that's just the place to start. And then my favorite like yoga companion book, which is like how to integrate into modern day, and it covers the aspects of food, like how to eat, how to breathe, how to treat one another, all of those aspects is I really love the Sivananda Yoga Companion Guide. It's from like the 80s, so it's not like some ancient text, but I think it's important to balance out those ancient like primary document texts with something that's more modern and like easier for us to process, like somebody like did the work for you and kind of like is explaining to you like how to develop this like practice that was meant for these sages, and this is very like specific group of people that have dedicated their life to the practice of yoga, to like a householder like us. Like I'm not I'm not like a monk or anything, or even living a primarily spiritual life, but I'd like to bring some of that spirituality and practice into my life, more balanced. So I think that book does a really good job of it. It was my mom's book. So it was like my first yoga book. So I'm like biased, obviously, but who isn't? But I just really like the way it's written and illustrated, and I think it does a good job of referencing the like origins instead of taking credit for it. Some of the yoga books that I have like kind of like take credit for like the advice that they give, and that just really turns me off, because I'm like, it's all derivative of like the original texts and like the work of the last 100 years, 120 years or so of like these Indian gurus have done to modernize yoga and then bring it over to the Western world. So like all of that is chapters added on to the origins of it. So I just think anyone taking credit for it is like delusional or like, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. So I think that's a really good book to start with, to reference. And I've read a lot of yoga books, a lot. But I think those three are good, like that's a good beginning to a library. So yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to talk to you about it. Okay, so let's read Mum Furious. That's not how you spell it. Furious. Mum Furious Fitness. Let's read Mum Say Hi to Gatina. I was also thinking, I don't know, I have a couple ideas for like specific classes, but let me get them a little more worked out at my end before I actually like announce anything. Ethereal, thank you for dropping the tips information in there. So a $5 tip to my Venmo or to my Streamlabs, which is my PayPal, does get you a recording of class, and that has all of the timestamps. So you can jump to your favorite meditation, to lymphatic shaking, to the just the sound bowl healing at the end, and it can also be, you can also send me money for a past class. So say you missed Monday's class, but you had meant to get there, you can send me a $5 and I'll send you the link for that. Just be specific in your message on which one you'd like, and I'm happy to send you any class you're looking for. I appreciate it. It does really help me out. I've been like super surprised and humbled by the amount of tips that y'all send me. Could we do a gamer warm-up in a gamer chair? Ooh, I don't have a gamer chair. But I could ask on the internet and I bet I could find one. Alright. Okay. I will see you all on Sunday, and Ethereal, I'm going to see if I can procure a gamer chair for a gamer warm-up. Now I'm thinking. Alright. Love you guys.